gas on the infield floor. He slides through, he tags Richard Eck.
Hello viewers and welcome to the Fanaleds 200, round number 5 of the Piston Cup series. Today we are broadcasting from the Charlotte Motor Speedway at Concord, North Carolina in the USA. And we are bringing this race to you live on YouTube and Twitch TV. I am your host Richard Losper, and with me in the broadcast booth we have Ayrton Ellis and Brian Corwin. Hello, Ayrton.
Hey, Richard. Great to be back behind the mic with you guys.
And glad to have you back. And hi, Brian.
Hello, Richard. Second day in a row for these broadcasts, but as always, I'm willing and able, so let's have a good race.
And just in case the viewers are wondering what's happened to Sean, Sean has other commitments for today, so we've brought in Brian, who we know is very knowledgeable about these cars, so he's a good addition to our broadcast team. And of course, bringing all the action to you is our director, Giancarlo Lenzi. Now, Ayrton, just quickly, we only have about 3 minutes before the start of this race. We are at Charlotte, which is my favorite oval track. Tell us a little bit about this oval.
Well, Charlotte Oval in the real world was opened in 1960, owned by Britton Smith and NASCAR driving legend Curtis Turner. It is 2.4 kilometers long and 1.5 miles. And we'll be running under the lights today, a little different than in the daytime weather, but the cars will go a little bit faster, especially with the cooler temperatures. And this track has 24 degrees of banking, and we do have a tri-oval on the front stretch, so not quite straight on that front stretch as well. But we also have a trivia question for the viewers here today, and that is, what was the name of the first race at Charlotte and what was so special about it? We'll give you the answer later on in the race. Back to you, Richard.
Thank you very much. This is one of my favorite ovals, I have to say, so I'm looking forward to this race. But Brian, the nationwide Class B, this is what they'll be running here tonight. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, Richard. Well, the Class B car, for those who don't know iRacing, is actually two different cars, but they run about the same speeds with the same makes, with different chassis and sounds, but they are very, very much the same car. You get a Ford Mustang version and a Chevrolet Impala version. These two guys types of cars will be going head-to-head tonight at Charlotte. Both cars have upwards of 700 horsepower. They're very stable with all the horsepower because of the way the weight is distributed with the aero packages and the massive NASCAR-style tires they have. So these guys are going to be able to put the foot down really early in this track. It's a little slippery coming into the tri-oval at times, especially when you're too wide. But the draft here will be amazing, and we're going to see some great racing because these cars can take a whole lot of abuse. They're like little army tanks with a lot of speed. Very quick lap times here today. We're looking at sub 9 or 29 second laps. That's pretty average for a NASCAR race, but because, like Aaron said, we're under the lights, we might be seeing cars a little bit faster than that under the draft. In the draft here in the cold conditions at nighttime driving. Richard, back to you.
Thank you, Brian. Well, I can tell you, Brian, that with the qualifying so far, the fastest qualifier, and qualifying's not quite finished yet. They just be finishing up in a few seconds. But Rudy DeVitt has shown a great turn of speed, and he is doing 28.6, so that is pretty fast. So, Ayrton, in the few seconds that we've got left before the start, let's just very, very quickly talk about the championship. We've had 4 rounds so far. We're into the second half now, and we see that Fabian de Jong is leading this thing.
Yeah, Fabian de Jong has a 21-point lead ahead of Dennis Garrison. And then only 1 point behind Dennis Garrison is also Tim Vian, then Joey Schmidt, Neil Heckens, Rudy DeVitt, Roy Visser, Pascal Dugers, Pascal de Burk, and Jarno Panicky in 10th, all within 50 points of each other. It's really close.
Yeah, and notice that Rudy DeVitt, who's always been fast at every single track that we've called races at, He's starting to move up the standings now as we see them starting to grid up. And Rudy is currently in 6th place, so he is the fastest qualifier. And we can now run through the qualifying order because obviously they are gridding up and the qualifying is done. So, Eton, why don't you take us through the first 15 or so of the 37?
Okay, so starting on pole is Rudy DeVitt, then Joey Schmidt in 2nd, Neil Heckens in 3rd, Fabian DeJean, our championship leader, in 4th, Mark Fageras in 5th, Kim van der Stickelen in 6th, Bob van Katwijk in 7th, Tim Wyan in 8th, Joop Gillison in 9th, Pascal Dugers in 10th, Cohen Gerards in 11th, Maxim Reinstein in 12th, Dennison Garrison in 13th, Robert Witt in 14th, and Kees Jokums in 15th.
And in 16th place we have Kevin Weckermans, Roy Visser in 17th place, Denny Reitz in 18th, Chris Zilstra in 19th, Eric Mulder is in 20th place, Marco Hoekstra is in 21st, Nick Thyssen in 22nd, WJ van den Brandt in 23rd place, 24th place is Wim Stockmans, 25th is Pascal de Berg, 26th place is Johan Sommers, 27th place Joe van Horn. And Brian, why don't you call the rest for us?
In 28th, we got Victor Elzenar. Excuse me if I get any of these names wrong, by the way. In 29th, we got G. Schlackamoldes. In 30, we have Jeroen Ernstum, another familiar name for me. In 31, we got Bas Slav. In 32, Henk Adrense. In 33, we got Freddie Bessems. In 34th, we got Jarno Pennekeet. In 35, we got Steven Van Helstigen. And I believe the rest are unqualified in hosting the race, Richard.
Yep, Joop Willemsen and W. Rensenbrink, these are part of the admins of the race. Now, Eton, they are on the pace lap at this point in time. The pace car leading them off, the lights are out, so there's only one pace lap before the start of this race. Rudy DeVitt looking good up front there, but followed very closely by Joey Schmidt, who has got an interesting paint scheme. And on the back of his car, he's got words that say no money for paint. So that's fairly comical and quite interesting. So just quickly, what do you think? Is this going to be a clean race? Are we going to see lots of pace car laps, or what do you think, Eton?
Well, I think the trial is going to cause quite a few accidents. It's difficult to go 2 wide or 3 wide through that front stretch. That might cause a few accidents in this race.
Yeah, I think you're quite right there. People misjudge coming up where they are right now, and we'll see the car ducking off. Eton, over to you.
Okay, Rudy Witt's going to lead them away. He's going to go on the gas as the green lights come out. Joey Schmidt gets a pretty good start as well as Fabian DeJean shoots on the outside past Neil Heckens, who has got quite a slow start. And they're already shooting into single file as they go into turn 1.
Yes, indeed, and we've got the number 8 car there. I am looking at the number 8 of Tim Wyan, who's just slotted into about 6th place. Just behind him, we've got Mark Fageras. So these are the part of the top 10 behind Mark. We've got Pascal Dugers. Nice and clean there. And Brian, have you seen anything towards the rear of the pack?
Yes, sir. Right now, Bob Van Katwijk is being chased down by the number 3 and the number 04 coming through the trioval. As we see, it's very tricky to get through there as we see cars slipping and sliding coming into turn 1, but they are going side by side nonetheless. This is one of the best tracks in NASCAR for this reason, because you can put the foot down all the way around in these little nationwide cars and they will do what you want them to do. Richard, we're seeing a lot of side by side action, but it is really, really good racing.
Yeah, and this track, bearing in mind these guys are doing around 29 seconds a lap, around 1.5 miles or over 2 kilometers. So they're doing a great job right now as we look towards the front, Eton, and we see that Joey Schmidt seems to be putting a challenge on Rudy DeVitt.
Yeah, he's sticking with the draft. They got about 6-car pack right here up the front. And one thing that we didn't mention is that the draft is actually quite significant on this track. These guys get really good tow on the front, on the back stretch, and the front stretch as well. So trying to pull away from anyone's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, and your top 3 are virtually glued together. And Joey Schmidt at this point in time, just sitting back from Rudy. Rudy gets a real slingshot out of turn 1 there, as they turn 2, sorry, as they come up to 3 right now, slowing down. So it looks like we've got a caution.
Yeah, it does look like we got a caution. I didn't see any smoke on the track, so it might have just been someone slid off the road. We'll go back and take a look, Richard, once we get some more information.
Yeah, I just noticed there when Rudy de Wit shot away, Ayrton, that I thought he was making a break on the field, but it was just that the others were slowing down for the caution. So we are on lap 5 according to my screen here, and already we have our first caution.
Yeah, I'm just looking back on the replay. It looks like G Slack Motors spun on the exit of turn 4 and came back onto the track sideways. So I think that's cause for the caution.
Yeah, we're getting a replay now from our director, Giancarlo. We can see that it is G Slack Motors. His car is sliding. He's going into the wall there. So definitely a good reason to have a caution. So they'll slow everything down. They'll take four caution laps at least. Give everybody a chance to settle down and figure out what they're going to be doing here. Now, Brian, you know these cars very well. These guys have got a long race here. There are going to be a couple of pit stops involved. So what sort of pit strategies do you think the guys will be using here?
Well, it depends really what their mindset coming into the race is. I know several guys on the oval side of iRacing that go in every single time and just take fresh tires. That way they always get that edge, despite the fact that they're going to lose all those positions. Other people that want to do it more traditionally, like we see on TV, might wait till about around lap 30 or 40 to go in and get tires, or maybe not tires, but just get a splash of fuel, because with the way the temperature is on the track right now, the tire wear will be a factor, but it's going to be a little bit less than it would be on a hot, sunny day. So I would definitely think right now these guys are not going to go into pits. They're going to wait till at least maybe the second or third caution. Then we'll see them going in around laps 30 to 40.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, the pit lane is probably not open to these guys just yet. It should open on this next lap. But I don't think after 6 laps you'll see many people ducking in. There will be the odd guy, particularly if you're around the back there, Ayrton. Might be advantageous for you to just jump in and top up with fuel.
Yeah, especially I've done races and seen people do races where if they don't have very good qualifying, they take their strategy to sit near the back and just coast it for the first half of the race and then focus on working up the field. So having those fresh tires and full fuel load will definitely be helpful in the long run.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So everyone now in single file. I believe these might be single file restarts. So that should clean up the first lap after the restart, and hopefully we won't see a repeat of what we've just done here. But you know, it's pretty close racing. And Ayrton, you mentioned that going through the tri-oval portion there, the car can get really loose in that area, particularly if you are in a too wide situation, and if you're up near the wall, it gets pretty hairy. I know even in some of the slower cars like the truck, it can get pretty hairy on this track, even though even the tri-oval portion has some banking and speed. You know, they're carrying a lot of speed going around here, so it is difficult to keep the car on track, particularly in when you've got multiple cars going around the same bit of track. But we'll see how these guys fare. At the moment, our leader is indeed Rudy de Wit still, as he showed last week in the road race that they ran at Watkins. He led the race virtually from start to finish. Joey Schmidt, good turn of speed here. He's in second place. Fabian de Jong, you can never discount. And if you go further down the field, Ayrton, Dennis Garrison, who I believe is second in the championship at this point in time, he always has a fairly low starting position, but always tends to feature up near the front at the end of the race.
Yeah, I've noticed that with the teammates of Dennis Garrison and Roy Visser. They often sit back during the races, just like stay within the mid-pack for a lot of the race, and then near the end of the races, you'll see them shoot to the front all of a sudden. That's probably their consistent strategy that they try to do, just stay out of trouble and not battle out too much with the top guys, and then focus on getting that end race pit strategy going, so then they could find themselves up in the front of the pack.
Yeah, now that's some smart strategy from these guys. Obviously, it's working as well because Dennis Garrison is running second. Fabian de Jong is the other fast guy in this. He's shown to be one of the fast guys in the series so far. He has he won a race? I believe he did win. I think it was the very first race he won. He may even have won 2. But certainly he's going to feature towards the end. He's done that in virtually all the races he's been in. So as we see them all just circulating behind the pace car now, we should be getting a start. Let's have a look at what's the pace car situation. Yes, Ayrton, the pace car lights are out, so we'll be looking for a start. So over to you.
Yeah, but the order for this restart's about the same as the starting order from the beginning of the race. There wasn't too much mixing up at the beginning, but we now have the pace car ducking into the pits, ready to pit, leading them away. Joey Schmidt on the outside. They're going to get a good start, and Joey Schmidt's going to shoot to the inside, cutting off Fabian de Jong. They're already single file. They're still too wide. Farther back, Tim Vian on the outside of Kim van der Stickelen. He's going to try to gain that position on the outside of turn 1, with Pascal Duker sitting behind on the inside.
Yeah, and he did make the pass on Tim Vian. That was Kim van Stickelen. As they go wide to the outside now to get the angle for that the turn in coming onto the tri-oval. Your first few cars, very nice and clean. Brian, you seeing anything towards the back there?
Yeah, right now I'm looking at Eric Mulder in the number 14 Red Bull racing car. As he goes on the inside of several cars in the tri-oval, he is definitely using up every bit of room as he can. It looks like a car took a little bit of a bobble going into turn 1. He's going to slide it towards the wall, leaving Eric Mulder on the bottom side to get through. Now he's chasing down the orange and black car, I believe Marco Hoekstra. He is also running a very good pace. They both got great starts off the jumps off the starting at the green, and now they are both going to attack when they're trying to catch up to the 10 car of Kees Jacobs.
Yeah, a nice clean start so far. We're looking at Eric Mulder in 20th place now. We've switched to Kees Jacobs, who's just a couple of cars ahead of him. Kees Jacobs is in a white and green, lime green car. All very nice and clean at this point in time. Kees Jacobs decides to make a move on who is that in front of him. That's Robert Witte in front of him, or Robert Witt. He goes to the inside there, and does he get the move done? Looks like he certainly got the line for it, but he backs out as they come onto the tri-oval. Now he tries again, but still very, very risky, as we said, trying to make that move stick on the tri-oval, so he is slotted back in. Ayrton, back to the front, what's happening up there?
Well, it's still very single file. I think most of the drivers are thinking about a conservative race at the moment, but they're still all very close together. A huge train of about 10 cars, all sticking within drafting distance of each other. And there's a little bit of mixing up in the back of Maxim Reinstein and Mark Figueres. They have gone back to single file, but there was a bit of double file racing between Tim Vian and Pascal Dukers earlier on. Tim Vian came out in front for that 6th place position.
Yeah, and we actually driving with Tim Vian at the moment, and he is in 5th place. He's just a little way off the guy in front of him, which is Kim van der Stickelen. But I'm liking the way these guys are racing right now. They're sticking to the plan, all single file, just kind of sussing each other out, figuring out. Now you see them going wide, going deep, going to the inside. Just in front of Tim Vian, we've got Kim van der Stickelen. He's looking a little racy there, Ayrton. Looks like he wants to make a move on Neil Heckens just in front of him.
Yeah, it looks like Neil Heckens and Fabian de Jong, they're looking to try to get past Joey Schmidt, because Joey Schmidt is losing some time to Rudy de Witt, so they might want to try to get by him pretty quickly. But behind them, I'm actually looking at Maxim Reinstein, who's looking on the inside of Pascal Dukers. Didn't quite get it, but he's really looking racy as well.
Yeah, we've got we've got the camera at this point on Kim van der Stickelen in 5th place. He's just fallen back now, but in front of him there's some action going as we see Neil Heckens. Joey Schmidt now on the outside there, Ayrton. We've got Fabian de Jong making a move on him. Neil Heckens looking to follow as well. Fabian de Jong now got the inside line, and he's going to make this move stick right now, and Joey Schmidt has to give way, having the outside line. He falls now back into single file, and he's lost the position. He's now basically lost 2 positions. He's now in 4th place.
And that double file racing has allowed Rudy to get a nice lead ahead of these guys. I'm interested to see if he'll be able to pull away from these guys, but they do have the draft. They're still within just drafting distance at the moment, but Neil Heckens still putting on pressure on Fabian Dejean for 2nd place.
Yeah, and Tim Vian definitely looking to challenge Kim van der Stickelen for that 5th or 6th place it is. Kim van der Stickelen now is in 5th place. So now he's trying to make a move on Joey Schmidt as well. So these guys are deciding that, you know, after 17 laps, it's time to move as far forward as they can. But let's check in with Brian and see what's happening further back.
Yeah, talking about moving as fast as you can, Roy Visser just passed everybody in that pack, following behind him. Now he's even working a little bit in the front of them, so he is definitely throwing a lot of pace down. A few laps ago, he got a little bit of a tap of a wall, but he was able to hold on to the car, and he hasn't slowed down since. So I think that little tap was just a minor correction of his driving, and now he's picking up his pace once again. Now, the interesting thing about Roy Visser is he does what a lot of classical oval-style drivers will do. He parks it right on the back of the rear left side of the car in front of him, causing the draft to lift up the car and lose some traction. Now, what that does is it sends the car in front of him a little bit up the track towards the outside wall, giving him enough hold to get through, and that's how he passed 3 of the drivers, Richard, just doing that aggressive NASCAR-style driving.
Well, that's Roy Visser is one of our front runners as well. He is actually 7th in the championship at this point in time, so he's got a little bit of catching up to do. There's a big pack in front of him, and these guys are in fact racing very close together in a kind of a 4-pack car there, Ayrton. And I think that with Kun Gerards, we're driving now in an orange and black car. He's part of this little pack of 4 cars. Let's see what these guys are up to and whether in fact they'll change positions. Still single file at this point, but certainly looking for this pack to catch up with the pack of front runners.
Yeah, what I love about Charlotte is that there's so much diversity in driving lines. If you just look at all the drivers in these packs, some of them prefer going across the middle of the track, some of them decide to take a higher exit, lower entry, all that kind of stuff. And it really makes difference on how the cars perform as well, because a lot of drivers, their driving style may burn out the rubber on the tires a lot quicker than others. So it really makes for a good show. And at the moment, we're looking at Pascal Dukers and Bob Van Katwijk going side by side across the front stretch.
Yes, indeed. Pascal Dukers on the outside, and on the inside we had Bob Van Katwijk. And you know, on this track, if you've got the inside line and you've come down from the top end of the track, you will always have an advantage. And if you go a little bit wide, it kind of makes the guy on the outside a little bit nervous, and it is a wise move to just fall in behind rather than try to push from the outside to maintain your position. So you'll see drivers attempt that move time on time again, as we see Bob Van Katwijk now. He's lined up in front of him, Mark Vergeres, and you'll see how he will probably dive to the inside, but no, Mark Vergeres covers that, goes to the inside in front of him. So some smart driving there from Mark Vergeres, but now we see them come to the tri-oval, and Bob Van Katwijk goes to the inside. He'll get the job done here because he'll have the ideal line into turn number 1 there, Ayrton.
Yeah, very good move. But as we go back to the front of the field, Fabian Dejean has caught up within a tenth of Rudy de Wit across the line. He's pressuring him a lot. These guys still have about half-second lead ahead of third-place driver Neil Heckens, and another 8/10 back is Joey Schmidt. So these guys have pulled away quite a bit. Fabian Dejean putting on a lot of pressure.
Well, I have to tell you that Joey Schmidt may not be holding on to that 4th place or 3rd place for too long, because Kim van der Stickelen has just put a move on him, and Kim van der Stickelen now moves up into 4th place. But Joey Schmidt comes back brilliantly and takes the position back, and now Kim van der Stickelen is under threat from Ramstein. They're pretty close together there, Ayrton. Virtually almost, well, they're certainly 2 wide, but they were close to going 3 wide through the tri-oval there. So a lot of action happening in the second pack behind the leaders.
Yeah, and we just saw Kim van der Stickelen just brush the wall on the exit of turn 4. That's gonna hurt him a little bit. He did lose 2 positions in that, and now has Bob Van Katwijk behind. Probably gonna catch up because that damage can definitely hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tim Vyan, still part of a 3-car pack with Kim van der Stickelen, who just touched the wall there as well. Kim van der Stickelen was making a move for 3rd place, and all of a sudden everything's gone sour for him, and he's losing quite a few places now, and falling back into 7th or 8th place at this point in time. So I don't quite know what caused him to lose such a lot of speed, but certainly going backwards right now.
What are you seeing at the back, Brian?
Sure. Well, right now, the number 7 at Kevin Vikemans looks like he has lost a ton of pace, because it seems that the number 75, the number 42, the number 10, and the number 1 all got past him in the last lap. I have noticed that the 7 has come very close to the outside wall, coming through the tri-oval and turn 1. So I'm wondering if he might have a loss of grip coming out of some of these corners, maybe from overdriving, or maybe, like I said, a little bit of damage from the outside wall. So definitely right now he's moving backwards. He got a few cars moving up for positions as we see the 04 and the 42 duck under the 75. And right now it's just everyone shifting positions and looking for space, because they're anticipating a yellow soon, I would think, and that is where you want to capitalize on having a good track position.
Well, these guys are into lap number 29 right now. So even being a half a lap back at this point, this early in the race, is not really that much of a disadvantage. A half a lap is like, 5 seconds off the pace. But you will find that some guys deliberately just sit back and watch the proceedings in front of them, and it's quite easy to catch back up again once you have a caution. And now we have a spinning car. The 75 car has just spun, and that will bring out a caution, no doubt, Ethan.
Oh, and he ricochets off a few more cars. I believe that's the car of Robert Witt in the 24 car, and Eric Mulder as well. So definitely hurt quite a few drivers there.
It looks
well,
like
we're going to replay, and we are watching. That is Chris Zylstra in the 75 car. He was going around and then got loose, touched another car, and it was all over. He hit the wall, came down, and then took out a few cars as well. So not a good bit of racing from Chris Zylstra. Probably couldn't help it. There he goes. He's around, and guys are trying to avoid him, but he's going backwards down the track now. Hits the wall once again, takes out another car, and then keeps spinning and heads down towards the infield section of the oval. So his day might be over, or he might be spending some time in the pits.
Richard, I just want to jump in real quick. I don't think that it was the number 1's fault. I believe the number 1 is Nick Piston. The 75 got caught out on the outside going into turn 1, and he was shooting up towards the wall quite a bit. My guess is that the tires were overheated at this point, because we're on about lap 30 or lap 31 at the time, and they were just overheated and ready for a change. So with that loss of grip, he saw the 42 shoot by. The number 1 was coming up behind him. I think he was just trying to go for a hole that wasn't there, and that's when he caught up with the number 1 car. Richard?
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. That now I just want to mention here that most of the cars were shot into the pits. I'm looking at the the leader, or what was the leader, the number 8 car of Rudy de Wit, as we see the 24 trying to beat him out of the pits there. All of them pitting right now, but I did notice, Ethan, that Rudy took 4 tires there and probably topped up with fuel as well. So that's probably what everyone else would have done as well.
Yeah, I don't think at this point in the race anyone's going to be trying any tricky strategies with taking 2 tires, because they have a long race ahead of them. We still have about 100 laps to go, so only about a third or so way through at the moment.
Yeah, and now, of course, these guys all fall into line behind the pace car. Everyone pretty much has a fresh car. And Brian, just for your information, coming into, these guys do have a spare car, so they can go into the pits and get a fresh car. And so, those who have severe damage do get another chance to have a good car coming back out on the track.
Yeah, it's just like in the real life with the NASCAR teams. A lot of those teams do have one spare car. It's usually not quite as well as far as the setup or the parts on it, but it is a spare that they can use during a race weekend. So it's good to see that some of the leagues on iRacing are implementing that kind of option into the series and giving the drivers a chance to have fun, because as we know, there's times where people make bonehead mistakes and take themselves out, but there's other times where you get caught up in other people's mistakes, and that just gives you another chance to ride it out and have some more fun, and that's what we love to see in iRacing.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, and good on the organizers of the league for doing that as well. It's pretty grim if you've gone 32 laps out of 140 or whatever it is, only to find your car so badly damaged that you cannot continue. It takes a lot of fun out of the racing, and you will also see, in some cases, Ayrton, some of the guys will think, well, if this is the way it is, I might not come back for the next race. So I think the organizers have made a great move here in giving them those spare cars.
Yeah, sacrificing realism for fun definitely, I think, is worth it. Like, having a new car definitely makes it better, so these guys will have a good opportunity even if they do wreck out. Just to note that we do have two drivers who are farther back in the field who did not pit. Jarno Pannekeet and Jeroen Ursum are sitting in first and second at the moment. Interesting enough, Jarno Pannekeet was in the top 10 for practice standings, but his qualifying was very, very slow, about 6 seconds off the pace. So I think he had a really bad qualifying session and is trying to get himself back up the field.
Yeah, and Jarno Pannekeet is not one of the slow guys. He is normally a front runner, and we see him now in first place, but he will have to pit. And one wonders if that is a wise strategy there, Ayrton, because the ideal time to pit, as all oval racers know, is under caution.
Well, if he pit on the first caution, that might help him a little bit, but I don't really see a strategy at the moment. He's going to have to pit within the next 10-15 laps anyways.
Well, that's the point. And if it's if he didn't pit under caution, then he may have to pit under green, which will lose him a lot of time.
Well, Richard, I think what he might be trying to do is hoping that another quick yellow comes out, because the way yellows typically work in NASCAR is if you can make it past the first couple of laps and let everyone get spread out and let everyone's tires warm up, then you'll get a good run, hopefully, where you can go another long stint like we just did with 20 plus laps. But a lot of times what happens is the tires are cold, people are in such a frenzy from just sitting in a slow yellow condition, they lose focus or they get overly anxious to go, and that's when you see more wrecks happen. So by staying out in front of the pack, what you're essentially doing is hoping that a wreck happens behind you so you can stay out, go into the pits, and then come out in the middle of the pack, if not the front of the pack, later on in the race.
Okay, and they're about to start again, so Ayrton, back to you.
Yep, so Jarno Pannekeet for a change is going to lead them away. Rudy DeVitt on the outside. Fabian Dejean is not going to quite get the run he wants at the start to get on the inside of Rudy DeVitt, so he's going to defend that second position. Meanwhile, farther back in the pack, we do have Neil Heckens in fourth place, and then Joey Schmidt being passed by Maxim Reinstein for that fourth place position, and he's also being pressured by Tim Wine on the inside as well.
Yep, and a good restart there from all the drivers in the front pack. Some jockeying for position, as you mentioned there. We are currently driving with Jarno, the leader, and this is going to be quite interesting, because I do not think, Ayrton, that we would that our previous leader Rudy DeVitt is going to hang around for long, as we see him now go to the outside, going down the back stretch, going into turn 3. He's already making that move and taking back that first place position.
Yeah, but Jarno Pannekeet still on inside, still trying to defend that position. It looks like Rudy DeVitt's going to get it out of turn 4. And interesting maneuver on the outside rather than inside. It looked like Jarno Pannekeet was defending that inside line, making it difficult. But now Fabian Dejean is the next driver trying to get past Jarno Pannekeet. Looking to the outside, but he quite can't get to that exit that he wants. Now he shoots to the inside. Looks like he's going to get that preferred line through turns 3 and 4.
Yes, and he goes to the inside, as you say, Fabian de Jong that is, and he'll have a good line coming onto the tri-oval there. He gets squeezed a little bit there by Jarno Pannekeet, but they will keep a respectful distance, and now he will definitely have a good line going back into turn 1 there, and takes the line, going up the back straight, coming out of 2, sorry. So he's picked up that position. Neil Hickens on the outside being pressured by the number 3 car on the outside there. He just has to hold his line on the inside. The number 3 car is, who is the number 3 car? Maxim Ramstein. So these guys are racing, there's no doubt about it. They're not just following each other single file.
They want to get past Jarno Paniki, who does have older tires than these guys, so he is, in theory, supposed to be slower, but he's actually holding on really well at the moment.
And now Joey Schmidt gets into the act as well. He makes a move on Maxim Ramstein. They're pretty close together coming into the tri-oval. The number 3 on the outside pinches a little. We're being pushed up the track a little bit by Joey Schmidt, and he has to give way. And Joey Schmidt picks up a position there now again.
As Neil Hickens looking on the inside once again on Jarno Paniki. It looks like he's going to have the preferred position. They almost touched. It looks like he went in a little too hard there. Neil Hickens forced Jarno Paniki a little higher. Looks like he's going to get this position now. But Fabian DeJean, Rudy DeVitt now got quite a good lead ahead of these guys at the moment, almost a second.
Yeah, while these guys have been battling the front two, because Fabian de Jong is pressuring Rudy DeVitt as well. And then you've got this little 3-car pack, and they are doing quite a bit of battling here with Jarno and Neil Hickens and Joey Schmidt just behind them as well. But let's check in with Brian and see what's happening further back. Brian?
Yeah, right now I'm watching the number 7 car of Kevin Weikman as he's being chased down by Stefan Van Heltingen in the 29, also being followed by the 42 of Denny Race. Earlier on in the race, before the last caution, these 3 drivers were actually battling for position, and I'm thinking the 7 car may have had some damage because now he's looking a lot more fast and racier. Now you might wonder, where did the second pack come from and why is it so far back? Well, when the green flag came out, everyone kind of got a sloppy start. A few cars in the middle of the pack took a little bit of a slow start, and it gave everyone a chance in the front to take off without him. Now, the 11 car was able to jump through the middle. He went 3 wide and passed about 6 cars in the process. So right now, everyone's starting to spread out again, but there's a lot of cars that just got caught out, and that is why they're so far back.
Yep, and this is quite a little battle going on here with the number 7. And behind them, Denny Ratz, and just in front of the number 7, there is Stefan Van Helstingen. Ed and these guys, we make mention of the fact that, too wide, is risky, but it's quite comfortable to go too wide around this track.
Yeah, well, actually, this track's really good for too wide, as we see Kevin Weckman's going a little too deep into that turn 1 and 2. But the diversity in lines, as I was saying before, on this track is so great that you can run the high side or low side and run equal times. So making pass on the outside or inside are very possible, and it's really fun to race side by side on this track.
Absolutely, as we have seen, and now we see some smoke there. We hear the call. There's a car that is, we'll come back to that in a second, but we do have another caution come out. And this is the opportunity for guys like Jarno to get their pit stop, Brian. So strategy has paid off for him.
Yeah, it looked like Mark Figueres came down and hit Roy Visser coming out of the tri-oval. That's not uncommon to see right there where it happened because, as Ayrton was saying earlier on in the race, it's very easy to get sideways through there. And, well, that's just the nature of NASCAR. You hit the wall, you hit someone else, they go flying through the grass, they come back up and take out a few more drivers. Luckily, it looked like Roy Visser was able to take control of his car somewhat, but if he had already used any of his quick repairs, he might be in a lot of trouble right now, Richard.
Yeah, and he's kind of just stuck there on the outside of the track. Luckily, he holds the car there, doesn't try to move the car, otherwise it could have been a lot worse than what it is now. Then on the replay, we see him coming down and looking. He has to come around to try and get back into the pit. So quite a smart move from him under pressure there. So yeah, we have another caution, and I think that is now caution number 3, or is that number 4, Ayrton?
That's number 3. As we see Jarno Pankeet and Rudy DeVitt both going into the pits. Jarno is doing a regular pit stop, while Roy Visser is probably going to fix some damage from that accident.
Yeah, we'll find a lot of guys getting into the pits right now, and wasn't that long ago when they did pit. So those who pitted on the previous restart might think twice. But Rudy de Wit, I know, pitted on the previous restart, and he's gone back in, you say. Is that right, Ayrton?
Yep, he's fixing damage from that accident.
Ah, okay. Well, he's back out again, and he's still following behind the pace car, so number 1 position. So that's pretty good. Getting back out nice and quickly, so it couldn't have been much of a damage unless he's taken his spare car.
Just want to add on, it looks like your own Ursum's going to be the lucky dog this time around. For those who don't know who the lucky dog is, it's a reward given to a driver that's a lap down who was not involved with the incident. Gives them a chance to make up one of those laps. Usually it's only given to... Oh, sorry.
All right, well, guys, we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back very soon with all the action once again. Welcome back, folks, to the Fanaleds 200, where we are currently on lap number 49. We've had a caution which was brought on by Mark Figueres. They are now on the final section of the caution lap, and we will get a restart. The pace car will duck in after we round NASCAR 4, and Ayrton will get you, as usual, to call the restart for us.
Sure thing, Richard. Just to point out that Maxim Reinstein, who's sitting in 3rd at the moment, started in 12th position, so he's had a pretty good run up to the top 3 at the moment, as most of the guys in the top 10 started around that position. So he's having a really good run at the moment. So now the pace car is going to be going in right now. Rudy de Wit's going to lead them away with Fabian Dejean on the outside. He's going to go right now. Fabian Dejean getting a pretty good go as well, and Maxim Reinstein on that inside, still too wide behind those guys in the top 5. Tim Wine on the outside of Joey Schmidt going into turn 1. They're going to go single file already, as Rudy de Wit and Fabian Dejean already have a little bit of a lead ahead of those guys.
Yeah, Rudy de Wit getting good restarts there, but it is the nature of oval racing that if you are the leader in a restart, you normally get to choose when you're going to put your pedal to the metal. So it is not unusual, Ethan, to see whoever the leader is get away a little bit on the restart.
Yeah, and as I've been saying that Fabian Jean has been getting good starts, that second place position is really difficult to see when that leader's going to go. And most of the time, the third place driver will be able to get ahead of the second place driver just because he has the visual of the first place position and he has that inside line. So Fabian Jean is doing a really good job on a lot of these restarts.
Absolutely. And behind him, we do have Maxim Ramstein, as you mentioned previously, and Neil Heckens, who's been in that top 5 now over the last few laps, and he's doing a great job. But now that things have settled down again and they are single file, we want to go back to Brian, who was starting to explain the Lucky Dog system for the viewers. So Brian, over to you, my friend.
Yep, the Lucky Dog system in NASCAR and in iRacing, which was recently implemented, is a reward system for a driver that is a lap down and was not involved in the wreck. What it does is it essentially lets you pass the field on the outside during a caution period, and you get that lap back. Now, if it's up to the driver if he wants to go in and pit stop and risk losing that position again, or if he wants to stay out and try to ride it out till the next yellow, hopefully in Uram's case, he can make it to the next yellow without any damage, and that will definitely help him in the long run. Basically what it does is it tries to keep the playing field even so you don't get caught up in someone else's accident and lose out because of it. A lot of the times it doesn't always work out in paper, or in theory, but on paper it sounds pretty good. So congratulations, Uram, on the Lucky Dog.
Thank you, Brian. That explains it there for the viewers. Most of them hopefully do understand the system, but it is a handy thing to get a lap back because sometimes you lose a lap through no fault of your own. But right now, we are still with the leaders here, Ayrton, and it just seems now that even after 55 laps, there hasn't been much of a change up front.
Yeah, Fabian Jean has been sitting in that second place position for majority of the race, just sitting behind Rudy DeVitt. I don't think he's very interested in getting into that first place position. In fact, sitting behind Rudy DeVitt at the moment actually saved him some fuel because of the because he can lift off a little bit on the straights because of that draft. So in any case, this might come into his fuel strategy later on into the race.
Absolutely. The leaders have to be thinking. Let's face it, in a long race you have to be thinking all the time. If you're just gonna rush out and try to overtake every car in front of you, you could run out of fuel. It's risky. You could be involved in an accident. So these guys are playing it pretty smart. But now, Ayrton, I noticed that the leaders will be coming up on a slower car shortly, so that could change things around a little bit. As we see Joey Schmidt making a move there on the 41 car is that Neil Heckens?
Yeah,
and
Joey Schmidt.
Do we have a
made
yellow? Yes,
like
we
it.
have another caution. Now that is unfortunate. Did anyone see what caused that caution? Must have been around the back somewhere.
I'm looking for it right now. It looked like a bunch of cars got just stuck together and no one had anywhere to go. Once they get more information, Richard, I'll come back to you.
Okay, not a problem. Well, we have another caution, and these are getting rather more more regular right now, Ayrton. So hopefully, when we see the pace car come out again, we may take another break. Our director is working. He has a couple of technical problems at the moment that he's working to clear up. So we might just take another short break. Director, if you're ready, you can take us on a short break and we'll come back when you're ready. Welcome back, folks, to the Fanaleds 200, where we are now on lap number 61 out of 134. So we're getting close to the halfway mark, Ayrton. They're getting ready for a restart. We have a new leader in Jarno Panakit. Our previous leader, Rudy de Wit, is back down in about 7th place. Back over to you.
Yep, and we should also mention that Fabian de Jong did beat Rudy de Wit out of that position out of the pit lane, but he is in 6th place. They've got quite a few drivers in front of him. Jarno Panakit and Roy Visser are on the front row as the pit car goes into pit lane. Jarno Panakit gonna lead them away. He has the call one to go, and he's gonna accelerate right now. Roy Visser following up behind, a huge stretch already. Got a really good jump, and already single file in those first 5 positions, but double file farther back in the pack. Maxim Reinstein is double file with Victor Elsenar going around the outside. A lot of these guys have more worn tires, so they're dropping like rocks in this pack.
Yeah, and let's keep the camera firmly on Rudy de Wit. We want to see how he works his way from further back. Up to now, he's been virtually leading from the front all the time. He is now got to work his way through a little bit of traffic to try and get back into that first place. He's got next to him Joey Schmidt, who's not letting him get away at all. But they are passing cars, and he's already moved up quite a few places. He is still in 7th or 8th place at this point in time. So a bit of work to do, Ayrton, for him to get back up to the front.
Yep, and his main competitor, Fabian de Jong, is already up into 3rd place, pressuring Roy Visser for that 2nd place. So he got a very good start. It looks like he's going to have some open air in front of him as he's going on the inside of Roy Visser. And now the only car in front of him now is Jarno Panakit, who still has more worn tires. So looks like Fabian de Jong's going to have a break into the lead now.
Yep, but Rudy de Wit is catching up to these guys. He has got in front of him right now, he's got Tim Vian in the black car with the Fanatec signage. They are passing the 31 car, the black and yellow 31 car at this point in time. Rudy de Wit doing a great job in making moves. He now passes the 08 car, and looks like we have another caution, Ayrton.
Did you catch what that was, Brian?
I did not, but I would guess there's another bump and run. We've been seeing a lot of bumping and running in the back of the pack. I cannot say exactly what happened, but it is worth noticing or mentioning that. All right, I'll hold that thought, Richard. We'll go to replay, and then I'll get back to you.
All right, we do have a replay of the incident. It looks like Mark Figueres, Brian, was involved once again in this incident. Let's see what happens here. We see that Mark Figueres, who is in the 26 car, gets loose. He's down on the grass there, and there's another car in front of him loose as well. Oh, quite ugly there, Brian, quite ugly.
Yeah, it looked like Urine Ursum and I believe one other car, the 43, were both involved with it down there, piled up and trying to break free from one another. That's going to be unfortunate because I believe at least 2 of those drivers used for quick repair and got their fresh car. That might be a length repair if they can even come back out.
Yeah, once you use up your free car and you have to go back into the pits, you have to deal with repairs, as we see it again from the Jeroen Oosum's car. Jeroen had nowhere to go, unfortunately. Everything was just a pile up in front of him, and he just plowed straight into it. Unfortunate for drivers when they get caught up in someone else's wreck, Brian.
Yeah, you know, the one thing NASCAR drivers or oval drivers tend to learn is to aim where the smoke is because of the steepness of the bank and the nature of how a car bounces off the wall. You're more likely to miss the car where the smoke is than where it's gonna be, and it looked like Urim had nowhere to go, and that was just an unfortunate thing for him. So hopefully we see some of these guys get back on the track, but for now we're under another yellow flag situation.
Yep, and we have taken some breaks, so we'll stay with the racing here. Maybe now is a good time for us, Ayrton, to give the answer to that question. So just to remind everybody what the question was, it was about Charlotte Motor Speedway. We asked what was the name of that very first race at Charlotte and what was very special about it. Ayrton, would you like to give the viewers the answer to that question?
Well, the race was called the World 600, and it was the longest stock car race in history. So that's some significance in NASCAR history and for the Charlotte racecourse.
Yeah, and it happened all those years ago, bearing in mind that this track opened in, when did we say? It was opened in 1960 it opened, so that's a long time, that's over 50 years. Do you mean to tell me that they haven't run that length of race ever again?
I'm sure Brian would know if that is true.
Let me call up Joe Peak. He has the answer for everything.
No, well, you know, they tend to run 500 miles these days, not 600. So anyway, that is the world record for the longest stock car race in history. And it was called the World 600, and it was in fact the very first race that they had at Charlotte. These days, Charlotte is a fantastic facility. I don't live in the US. Have any of you guys visited Charlotte before?
I have not personally, but I know people that have taken cell phone videos and different things like that, standing right down by the fence and just watching those cars roar by. It's something that you can't really put into terms or explain. I've been to Michigan, which is a similar track. It's a little bit bigger and longer, but the speeds are generally about the same. And just the feeling you get watching those cars shoot by, and the wind in your face, and the smell of the rubber and the oil burning off. It's just something that you cannot put into words, Richard. It's a very great feeling.
Well, I tell you what, when I do visit the United States, which is definitely on my list of places to visit, one of the places I want to visit is Talladega. Hopefully I'll be there when a race is on, and of course I would love to visit Charlotte. It's definitely one of the things that I want to see. I did not know much about oval racing at all when I started in iRacing, but just watching the oval racing, as we see somebody there, Ayrton, getting a lucky dog, and that is Mark Figueres. He gets to go around. He looks like he's got a new car there, so he has obviously taken a spare car. I'm not quite sure why, unless they're getting more than one spare car, but he gets a lucky dog, and he'll be able to rejoin towards the end of the field. The real leader that we have right now, as we see the pace car lights are out, is Jarno Panakit, who has made a great move by staying out at that earlier, when we had the earlier caution. He stayed out, and that's turned out to be a really great move for him as he finds himself leading this race right now.
Yeah, it's already interesting how there's different strategies going on at the moment. Jarno Panakit and also Roy Visser, they're on different pit strategies at the moment because they pitted 2 cautions ago when these guys pitted on the most recent caution. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out later into the race. It'll probably depend on the different cautions that come out. But as their double file is ready to go green, you want me to call the start?
Absolutely, as you will be doing for all the restarts today.
Okay, well, Jarno Panakit is going to be on the inside, Fabian Nijant on the outside as the pace car goes in once again for about the 5th time, I think, today. And Jarno Panakit has the permission to go. He accelerates very quickly, looking to get that quick lead ahead so he can lead as many laps as possible as Maxim Reinstein shoots on the inside of Fabian Nijant, who did not get the best of starts on this restart, and he gets past Maxim Reinstein going to shoot in second.
I want to jump in real quick, Richard.
I have we've got the camera on Maxim Reinstein at the moment, and Maxim is in fact doing a great job, as all of these guys are. He's in 3rd place right now. 2nd place at this point in time. He's just taken over that 2nd place from Fabian de Jong. So for once, Fabian didn't get the great start that he's been getting all race long. Ayrton?
I believe Brian had something to say.
Yeah,
I was gonna say on the restart, it looked like several cars in the back row, or the back couple of rows, got held up big time, and it looked like I believe it's Guy Slackamolder. Sorry if I ruined your name there. Rear-ended a car, sending him almost up into the car above him. I didn't get the numbers, but man, that's not the kind of thing you want to see coming off the green situation. But it's not uncommon either, because a lot of the time people try to jump that start and get a few positions when everyone's cut out waiting. So it was an aggressive move, and it did not pay off in this instance.
No, certainly did not. Gisela Malders all by himself at this point, sitting in 27th place. But Etten, back to the front there, where we want to put the camera once again on Rudy de Wit. Rudy de Wit is our pole sitter originally in this race.
We got to spin
and he's currently in 5th place. So we want to see how Rudy de Wit, as we did in the last restart, makes his way towards the front. Currently, he is catching up to the lead there, as we see right in front, Etten. They're going too wide in 1st and 2nd place.
Yep, Fabian Lejeune trying to get by Jarno Pancake as Rudy de Wit shoots to the inside of Tim Bryant as well. We've got 2x2 with, I believe that's Maxim Reinstein in the middle of those guys. Jarno Pancake is defending that 1st place position extremely well, defending on the outside for those last lap. He's doing a really good job at the moment, as we also see Joey Smith going to the inside of Tim Bryant.
And yes, Joey Smith just got that position from Tim Bryant. Rudy de Wit sticking to that inside line. Looks like they've got Maxim right outside at the moment, and Fabian de Jong as well. They're hugging the inside line. Jarno hugging the inside as well. Only Fabian has decided that he'll go to the outside. Look at Fabian de Jong right now. He is just down there on the inside. Maxim Ramstein doing a great job though on the outside there, Etten.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with Jarno Pancake in that 1st place position. His tires are about 10 laps older than all these other guys, and he's doing a really good job at defending those positions. And now we see Fabian de Jong going on the inside of Maxim Reinstein, about to pull off the move, and now Rudy de Wit's going to look on the inside as well. And Maxim Reinstein probably going to get put down to that 4th place position, but still holding on to the outside at the moment.
Yeah, you know, the driving strategies can be quite different for various drivers. Personally, I prefer the inside line as well, but obviously Maxim feels quite comfortable on the outside there, but he is losing position to these guys. Now we have a slower car in front of our leader. He's staying up high, which is great. Good driving from the slower car. All 3 of the leaders get past quite comfortably. Several others get past as well, so great driving from that left car.
Guys, I just want to jump in. You might notice that Jos van Horn is out of the race. Earlier on the lap after the green came out, he got very sideways coming through turns 1 and 2 and slid down to the bottom of the track. I don't think he hit the wall, but that was enough for him, because it looks like he went straight to the pit box and exited out of the server. Rough day for Jos van Horn. Yeah,
that's unfortunate that people have decided, you know, if the car's too badly damaged, there's no point in trying to continue. He may well have been involved in more than one incident, used up his 3 cars, and there's no point in continuing if you got to sit in the pits for say 5 or 10 minutes for repairs. But these guys, I've got the camera now on Pascal Dukas. There's some fierce battling going on here in the mid-pack, and I've got the camera on Pascal Dukas in the 96 car as they are about to go. Gee, that was very close.
There's also some battling in the lead. Fabian de Jong just took over that 1st place position, and Jarno Pancake still pressing it on the outside, trying to defend, but also attack at the same time, trying to defend from Rudy de Wit, but still peeking on Fabian de Jong on the outside. Now Rudy de Wit's looking on the inside of Jarno Pancake, and Maxim Reinstein is going to look to try to get in the mix as well. And Jarno Pancake still defending really well in this outside position. He really likes the outside line on this track.
Yeah, he's very comfortable, and Jarno is a great driver. We've seen him in the other oval races we've had in the series, always up near the front, and doing a great job. Right, he's lost his 1st position at this point in time with Fabian de Jong and Rudy de Wit now back in 1 and 2, but he's in 3rd place, not far off, and we got to also give kudos to Maxim Ramstein, who's doing a great job here, Etten.
Yeah, he started in, I think, 12th position, doing a really good run consistently in that top 5 position. But Rudy de Wit now has contact with Jarno Pancake. They're both going to go spinning. Rudy de Wit's going to come back on the field as Jarno Pancake does as well. They hit multiple cars.
Well, you know what? A caution had come out just before that. So these guys were actually in slowing up mode when that caution, I don't think they were the cause of the original caution flag coming out there, Brian.
Yeah, I didn't really see what caused the whole thing, but like you said, everyone seemed to be slowing down for a caution, and that's when one thing led to another. It looked like a few guys got pinned up on the yellow stripe there on the wall and just had nowhere to go, and one thing led to another, and the domino effect, as we see in NASCAR a lot, or in oval racing a lot, excuse me, and unfortunately, they claimed a lot of cars. It looks like just cars piling way up back there in the back of my camera view. Unfortunate events, but that's part of the oval racing culture that we've come to know and love.
Yeah, well, this is really unfortunate, I must say, because we now have some of the leaders caught up in that drama, and hopefully they'll be able to get their cars repaired if they have damage or significant damage, and get back out there and run some good laps again. But to me, it's always sad, Ethan, when you see the leaders getting involved in accidents, sometimes not of their own making.
Yeah, Rudy DeVitt and Jarno Panicky were the big losers in that. It looked like Rudy DeVitt got through it, but with some minor damage. But Jarno Panicky definitely had a hard hit, and that probably is going to cost him a lot. He's going to have to pit right now.
Yeah, a bunch of them heading into the pits. I do see that. Let's have a look at Rudy DeVitt here. Yeah, he's got some damage on the rear of his car. He's heading into his pit stall right now. I want to see if he gets a free car. Certainly taking tires at this point in time. It doesn't look, Ethan, as if he's getting a spare car out, so he's used up his fast repairs, and he's going to have to live with what damage he may have right now.
Yeah.
As we see him, he's still sitting in the pit, so he's got some damage, and he'll have to wait out for the repairs.
Yeah, the frustrating thing about the fast tows is that if you have only a couple that you can use, if you have a tiny little bit of damage, when you go to pits, it will count as a fast tow, even if it doesn't affect your car at all. So he might have had just a couple bumps in the previous runs, went into pits to change tires or fuel, and those counted as his fast tow. So when he actually does have an accident, he doesn't get a fast tow.
Yeah, that's exactly right, what you say there. So he's got a little bit of damage on the rear of his car right now. Let's have a look at the front of his car, and so we'll see whether in fact the front's got some damage. The front looks all right to me, Ethan, so he could be okay. He's got some damage on the side as well there, but I think he could be okay.
Yeah, knowing his pace, he should be fine. He should try to get back to the field, and every pit stop from now on, he'll be able to repair a little bit more each time, so he'll improve as the race goes on.
Yeah, because every time you go into the pits, if you take even a few seconds of your repairs, eventually the car will come good again, hopefully. So he has lost an absolute truckload of positions now, pardon the pun, and he's back in 19th place, but he still lives to battle on. And we go now to the current leader, who is somebody that we have never ever seen in front before. I dare say he might be a lapped car, because it looks like he's over a minute behind, and that's Freddie Bessems.
Actually, Freddie Bessems is leading the field. He might come into pits this coming lap, maybe missed the pit entry the previous lap, but he did start very far back in the pack in 33rd place, so
once that pit lane's open, they come around again, then the cars that are multiple laps down get to go in and pit. So maybe the reason that they're showing him in the lead is a lot of guys went in the pit because of the big wreck. He stayed out waiting for his pit opportunity to open up, and that is what put him up in the front of the pack.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The real leaders, no doubt. Well, he is the real leader at this point in time, Freddie Bessems. But we had a bit of a smile, because we are not used to seeing Freddie Bessems anywhere near, as we see the lucky dog charging away past the pace car there. And they normally do that, Brian, on the final lap, when it's one to go to green. That's when they give the lucky dog. Is that correct?
Well, typically the lucky dog is when the yellows are just about to start allowing the lead cars in. What you're referring to, Richard, is what iRacing has always had called a go-around, and those are the people that were either about to be passed by the lead cars, or they beat the the pace car out of the start finish line, and they are in turn supposed to stay behind the pace car until everyone gets a chance to go around. And that's what happens. They just move everyone around, put the leaders back in the front of the line. The guys that are in front of the pace car that are laps down, they go to the back of the line, they get a lap back. Those are two separate things, but we're about to go. I'll explain that more in depth later on, Richard.
All right, we are on the final pace lap right now, and we have Freddie Besson still in the front of this pack. Behind him, Maxim Ramstein Etten in second place, and then Joey Schmidt and Fabian de Jong, Neil Heckens, and so on. We'll give a good rundown once these guys get underway again, but certainly we are ready for a restart, so back to you.
Yep, and this is going to be Maxim Reinstein's best restarting position as the pace car goes on down the inside. Freddie Bessems is going to lead them away. He has the power to control the field. He accelerates, not quite. He's waiting very long, and now he accelerates as the green goes, and Maxim Reinstein is going to get a very good run on the outside. He has a nose ahead. Looks like he's going to be able to get the position on the outside, going to turn one. Freddie Bessems waited very long for that restart as he causes a real pile-up for a lot of the other drivers. He's on worn tires. He's very slow at the moment on that inside line.
Yeah, Etten, you know what? I am wondering whether, in fact, Maxim Ramstein didn't beat him to the line, in which case he's going to get a black flag.
I'm not sure if he did. If he accelerates after the green is flown, he will not get a black flag. But definitely Freddie Bessems did not get the start that he wanted to.
Also, I want to add to Ayrton's point, Richard. If he passes on the outside of the lead car or the bottom line, there's no black flag given. You only get a black flag if you try to pass below the outside line before the start-finish line. Okay,
well, I'm glad to hear that, because I should brush up on my NASCAR rules. Obviously, I'm not quite up with the rules there, but Freddie Bessems could have caused a major pile-up there. Thankfully, he did not. He is falling back now. He's already down to about 9th place. But everything's nice and clean, so let's get back to the real racing up the front there, Etten, with Maxim Ramstein leading.
Yeah, it's going to be his first time leading during this race, but he does have Fabian de Jong right on his tail. No more Rudy de Witt anywhere near at this point to cause any pressure, but we do have Pascal Dukers, who's moved up into third, and Tim Vine right behind us. We see Fabian de Jong looking to the inside of Maxim Reinstein across the front stretch. He's going to try to make a move on the inside into turn one. Looks like he's going to get it done. Maxim Reinstein seeming quite slow at the moment. Did he take tires in the last pit stop?
Yeah, most of them took tires, but certainly he's not looking like he's got a lot of speed at this point.
Anyways, that's allowed Pascal Dukers and Tim Vine to catch up to them. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, I almost wonder if there's something wrong with the front end of Freddie Bisson's car, because it just seems like he's not getting that top speed the other guys are driving with. And I wonder if maybe he's either overheating or if he just doesn't have the grip in the front due to the lack of tires, or maybe his toes out a little bit. He is plummeting like a rock falling off a hill right now, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon, because now he is trapped on the outside line and just letting everybody go. I do want to mention, though, when the green flag came out, I almost think he missed a gear or had a late gear shift, because his speed had a little bit of a hiccup, and that's when I believe it was Ramstein moved right past him.
Yeah, well, Freddie Bessems, we did mention that he is a regular backmarker. We've seen in all the other races that we've called that Freddie has never been anywhere near the front. He may well have had stage fright at finding himself at the front of the pack and thinking, oh my goodness, what am I doing up here? I should really be at the back. And as such, you know, he just got scared and didn't get a good start at all. But now he is falling back to a position I believe he's more comfortable with. No disrespect to Freddie, that is just motor racing. So let us get back to what is happening. Fabian de Jong running in front. Perhaps we should give a bit of a rundown as to who's where, Etten.
We do have a driver, Pascal de Berg, smoking on the inside on the apron. He's entering pits at the moment. Brian, did you catch what happened to him?
No, I'm going to go back and look right now, though. He got my attention.
Yeah. All right, well, we do have, at this point, let's just give the viewers a rundown on what is happening here. So, Fabian de Jong, at this point, we're on lap 94. out of 134 laps. So we're getting towards the 2/3 distance right now. And Fabian de Jong is leading this race at this point in time. And behind him we have Maxim Ramstein and then Pascal Dukas, who's come up from a long way back to start to be in 3rd place. So great run from him. Some things have worked in his favor, obviously, but if you don't have your car there, as he moves Ayrton to try and take 2nd place away from Maxim Ramstein. Maxim very comfortable on the outside, will not have a bar of it. There's a slower car in front of them as well. So that's your top 3 at this point. We'll continue with the call, but right now, Ayrton, there is a slower car in front of our leader.
Yeah, this is driver Joan Somers. I believe he was involved in an accident at the last oval race near the end of the race, which switched up positions a lot. But at the moment, he is a lap car. Moving to the outside a little bit, probably just going to slow down, let these guys by, hopefully, and not cause any issues at the moment.
Yep, that is Johan Somers, and he's doing the right thing. He's certainly gone high. And now we can get our leaders. So the first, Fabian de Jong safely passed, Maxim Ramstein safely passed, Pascal Dukas safely passed. Now, in 4th place, we have got Tim Vian. Tim Vian has been up or near the front all race long, so he's having a great drive. And similarly behind him, Ayrton Joey Schmidt, who's also had a great race practically the whole race. So that's your top 5 at this point in time. Then they are followed by Neil Heckens, yet another driver who's had a good race today.
Hey, I want to jump in real quick. Pascal de Burke, for some reason I don't have any footage of him beyond the smoke that we saw, but it did look like his engine is toast. He just came into pit road, he left the server. I don't think he's disconnected, he's still spectating, but at the time he's not getting his car fixed or even looked at. So unfortunately for him, his car might be a barbecue.
Yeah, I am not seeing him at all in the server at this point in time. So he has exited the car, and let us continue going back then to the front, where the last call we had was on Tim Vian. Now behind them in 7th place, Ayrton, is Dennis Garrison. Now to me, Dennis Garrison is one of he's the doctor. You know how we have in our road racing series, we have Amjad Yaman, the doctor. I believe that the doctor of oval racing is Dennis Garrison, Ayrton. He always finds his way to the front.
Yeah, I actually agree with that statement. He doesn't have the best qualifying pace, but he always seems to find himself near front in the second half of the races and looking really good as he's passing the lap car at the moment. That 7th place position is going to be important for him as he's sitting 2nd place in that championship.
Well, that's exactly right, and I have to say his car looks very strong. He looks pacey. All he has to do is to catch up, and I think he possibly will. Certainly, if there's another caution, he'll be right up there with the, in the top 6 or 7. He's currently in 7th place. He just passed Stephen Van Helsting, and so yes, he is in a genuine 7th place at this point in time. And he's got a little way to catch up to Tim Vian and your top 6 drivers. But I will be betting some dollars that he will be up with these guys. And it's no accident that he is in 2nd place in the championship right now.
Yeah, well, for the rest of this race, we have about 1 pit stop left to go. These guys don't have enough to make it to the end from when they last pitted, so they're going to have 1 caution or not. It should be interesting to see how that pit strategy goes if we pit under green.
Yes, and we see Joey Schmidt, Neil Heckens, and Maxim Ramstein in a little pack. They're squeezing Maxim Ramstein. There's a little touch there between Joey and Maxim. This could be risky as Maxim comes down to the inside, causing a little bit of a squeeze on Neil Heckens. Bit of risky driving here, Ayrton, but these guys, they race each other week in and week out, so they probably know what they're doing.
Yeah, about 30 laps left, and I'm not surprised that these guys are racing hard. They're going to be fighting for any position that they can get in these last 30 laps.
Absolutely, and it looks like Maxim is very comfortable on the outside there. We've got Tim Vian joining them as well, so a little 4-car pack here, fighting hard for what is in fact 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th position. At this point it could be anybody's. In front of them we have got the leaders in Joey Schmidt, in Pascal Dukas and Fabian de Jong. Is this guy a great driver or what? You will find Fabian de Jong in the top 3 in almost any race, Ayrton.
Yeah, his consistency has really proven to be really strong in this series, and I did notice that he wasn't that at the top in the road race, but maybe he just focused on oval a little more than the other guys. But that definitely explains why he's at the top of the championship. His consistency and speed is just really good.
Absolutely. Well, we need to take a look at some of the other drivers in this race, which we haven't shown a lot of. So why don't we, Brian, grab somebody in the middle of the pack and kind of work our way backwards from there to see who's running towards the rear.
Sure. Rudy DeWitt just put the 37 car up high. Kim van der Sticklen, I believe his name is. And he just put him up in the high line and went right below him, followed close behind by the orange car of, I believe, Marco Hoekstra, or maybe it was Koen Gerrits. But right now, it looks like they're trying to gain on Roy Visser. Visser was running by himself for a while, but due to the draft, the triple tango line, I guess you can call it, caught up, and now they're looking to get around Visser. Visser, with the damage he had earlier on, looks like he used a quick repair, but since he's out by himself, there's not a lot he can do. When there's no one to draft with, you're kind of a sitting duck, and right now they're trying to exploit every ounce of that duck right there.
Well, I have to say, Rudy de Wit has worked his way back into 10th place, which is no mean feat. He's got Roy Visser, who is a very handy driver, in front of him, and behind him we've got Kim van Stickelen. So he has got a lot of work to do to catch up to the leaders, but he's on the lead lap. He is only really some 6 seconds back, which is a very long way in oval racing. However, if they do have another caution, he'll be right back in it again. Going back from Kim van Stickelen and Rudy de Wit, we can see that Koen Gerrits is still in there in 12th place. Kiers Jokums, who we spoke about as well in the early part of the race, he's very much in it still. Marco Hoekstra in that GameStop kind of bluish car. So a lot of guys in the top 15 there that we haven't mentioned a lot in this call. Robert Witt as well in 15th place, but all of them doing a good job and just keeping their championship hopes alive, Ayrton.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of it's about. We haven't seen that many aggressive driving at the front because a lot of these guys are thinking about that championship position, especially Fabian de Jong, who's sitting on that championship lead. And definitely at first place is going to extend his lead, really going to help him, especially with second place driver Dennis Garrison all the way back in 7th.
That's right. So let us have a look at Dennis Garrison. Is he actually catching up to the lead? We must check some lap times here because he's currently about 5 seconds off the leader. I'll keep an eye on that and see whether in fact he is making up time on the leaders. It just seems to me visually that he is catching up. As we see an accident just in front of him, somebody touched the wall, somebody's going backwards up against the wall. Who is that? That is Joey Schmidt, folks, and there will be a caution, no doubt, because of that. That is extremely unfortunate for Joey. He was in about 2nd place at the time when that happened. So we'll go to replay and see what happened there. So he's running very close with 2 other cars, and he gets a touch, I believe, goes up into the wall. Another car hits him as well. He's skidding backwards up against the wall, trying to keep it up there. Now he comes down towards the inside, stops the car, and actually then coasts down towards the apron. So good job from him to keep the car away from everybody, but in fact that'll set him back a whole long way now, Ayrton.
Actually, I'll jump in real quick, Richard, if that's all right. I just wanted to point out, I think Neil Heckens didn't really have an option there. Joey Schmidt was right in that line kind of high, giving those guys on the high line nowhere to really go. And with turn 3 coming up, he just had to turn in or he would have been hitting the wall. So Joey Smith didn't really help himself by closing up that gap. I know what he was trying to do. It's an aggressive move to try to force people onto the outside line so he can get the low line, which is a little bit faster here at Charlotte. But at the same time, you got to give or take some room, or those little incidents there will happen. A little touch turns into a spin, which turns into 4 or 5 cars going down pit road. Back to you, Richard.
Yep, absolutely well said there. Sometimes that squeeze can backfire on you, as we see in the case. Well, folks, we are on another caution. We are going to take a short break while this caution works itself out, and we'll be back on the other side of the caution. Welcome back, folks, to the Fanaleds 200 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we've seen the pace car ducking in, Ayrton.
Yep, Robert Witt is going to lead his first lap of the race, with Victor Elsner starting on the outside, but he lost already that position to Fabian Jean for that second place position. He's Victor Elsner a little bit slower. He's going to shoot to the inside, and he's holding up Neil Heckens, almost causing a little bit of contact. He's holding up these drivers behind them causing quite a traffic jam as a huge group is appearing behind them.
Wow, looks like some of these cars were getting a little unsettled there as they were coming through. It looks like we're going to have a three-wide situation. The white car in the middle there backs out, but it looks like Max Ramstein is going to be the one that's going to come out lucky here.
Yeah, and there's a fierce battle now. We should mention, Ethan, that we are only 19 laps from the finish of this race. So now it's showtime. This is where you throw all your marbles into the ring, and hopefully you get your job done. Now, Robert Witte has led one lap of this race, maybe. Fabian de Jong is now the current leader. We've got Robert Witte sitting in second place, being pushed by Neil Heckens. Neil Heckens anxious to get past Robert Witte, and also Pascal Dukas trying to get past, as we see the 31 car of Robert Witte on the outside, Neil Heckens on the inside, Pascal Dukas following him. These guys will get the job done on Robert Witte and pass them, so that's your second and third place. But a really handy lead from Fabian de Jong right now, as Pascal Dukas moves now to try and take the second position from Neil Heckens, Ayrton.
Yeah, that lead for that first place position is already over a second in distance. So now Neil Heckens and Pascal Dukas, they're battling side by side. They're going to lose more time just from battling. And Fabian de Jong looking in a good seat for the win of this race. These guys keep on mixing it up behind him.
And sitting just behind those two, we have Maxim Ramstein and Roy Visser not far behind as well. So that is your top five right now. Tim Vian also in it, just behind them, and Dennis Garrison. So I really want to see how this plays out. We don't have many laps left. We are on lap 120 as we see Dennis Garrison going to the inside on the 08 car. The 08 car staying on the outside. We get a touch from whoever was behind Dennis. Touched him up a little bit there. That was Kun Gerards that had a touch with Dennis Garrison. He keeps going though, so that's good news for Dennis. But that will hurt his chances of getting further up in the race. So back to the front with you there, Ethan.
Yeah, it looks like that was actually Rudy DeWitt who lost that, who lost out and went into the grass. He lost a lot of position, a lot of time. Looks like his chances for top 10 at the moment are really slimming down, as there's only about 15 laps left in this race. Fabian de Jong has a 1.3 second lead ahead of Neil Heckens in that second place position, and Pascal Dukas and Maxim Reinstein duking it out for that third place as well. These guys are mixing it up too much. They need to work together if they want to catch up to Fabian de Jong.
Absolutely. Fabian de Jong, he's checked out by the looks of things. All he has to do now is just stay in front of this group. They have no chance of catching him if they're going to do battle with each other, and that's certain. And so Pascal Dukas, Maxim Ramstein, and Neil Heckens in second place. These guys really, as you said, Ethan, have to work together if they have any chance whatsoever of catching Fabian de Jong, which doesn't seem like likely at this point, as Fabian is just putting the pedal down to the metal, as they say, and checking out on this group.
Well, if they can get within drafting distance, they will be able to close the gap. So these guys just have to push, and not go side by side and slow each other down.
Well, that's right. So now they have gone single file. Looks like they might have heard what you had to say to them. And there's four of them right now, Roy Visser being the last of that. But really, we've got Neil, Pascal, Maxim, and Roy all together in second, third, fourth, and fifth place, with Tim Vian just a little way back. It's our last opportunity to see what's happening in the rear of the field. How's Rudy DeWitt doing at the back there, Brian?
It looked like he had a little bit of trouble in a few different battles going on during the race here. I've actually lost sight of him at the moment. I'm watching Roy Visser. He's been all over the back of Maxim Ramstein ever since we went single file. And unfortunately, he just doesn't seem like he has the pace to get around him. I don't know if that damage from earlier got fixed or not, but as good as it looks now, I just feel like he's losing just a little bit something off the pace. Right behind him, Tim Weisden is also having a very good race. He is a little bit out of the draft now, but I think he's starting to gain as the 0-0 car of Dennis Garrison's catching up, starting to push him a little bit. It looked like we had the Red Bull Racing car down there in the apron. I don't know what his story is. Maybe a quick late-minute pit stop However, it looks like they're going to try to keep a single file and play it safe until the last couple of laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yep, and that car down on the apron.
Oh, we have a
who
big
now
crash.
gets hit by the 29 car. That was the 14th car of Eric Mulder, and he just got hit by the 29 car of Steven van Helstingen. Totally unaware driving there, so we'll have another caution, Etten.
Yeah, and this is definitely going to open up the chances for these guys behind Fabian DeJean. Fabian DeJean had a comfortable lead ahead of these guys, and he was looking to take the win. But now they're going to have a really quick few laps, 3 or 4 laps dash to the finish line. So these guys, second, third, fourth, they're going to have a chance to really make a break for that first place position.
Well, now let us bring Neil Heckens into the booth here with us. It might be an opportune time, Ethan, for us to have a chat with Neil and find out how he's been seeing the race so far. I see he's in there with us now, so go ahead.
Hey, Neil, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
So at the moment, you're sitting in second place. You had an instant earlier on in the previous caution, but managed to get it back up right behind Fabian DeJean. What do you think your chances are?
Oh, it's tough. Fabian is quick as always, and he's got his teammate Pascal right behind me, and he was battling very hard with me to so Fabian can get away. But I just have to keep up with him, and then I hope I get a shot at the end.
You gonna try to go for the win then?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Neil, it's Richard here. How have you seen this race unfold? I mean, we've had quite a few cautions. Was that expected or unexpected?
To be honest, I didn't expect this many cautions. This is a fairly an easy track to drive on. Yeah, side-by-side racing is it's relatively easy. But luckily so far I was lucky at one caution halfway around where dodging two cars. But yeah, I've dodged the bullet a couple of times now, and I think don't have to push my luck again.
Absolutely. Well, we will let you get on with the race. You are in 5th place in the championship, so getting a 2nd place or better in this race will certainly help your championship hopes. But like you said, Fabian de Jong and Pascal Dukas, tough guys in front of you.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be tough.
Anyway, best of luck. We'll let you get on with the racing as we see the pace car still going around, still lights on. So is it 2 to go at this point?
Yeah, 2 to go now.
All right, best of luck. All right,
thank you.
Ayrton, so now we come down to the final few laps. We are on lap 129. By the time they start racing, it'll be lap 131. There'll be 4 laps, so it's a complete shootout to the finish.
Yeah, these guys are going to have just about 4 laps, I think, and definitely that's going to really, it doesn't, like, 4 laps can sound like a lot on some tracks, but at Charlotte, I mean, with about 30-second lap times, it's going to be really short. We have 2 minutes of racing, and then we'll know who our winner is, so it's definitely going to be exciting.
Well, you know, you have to kind of put the money on Fabian de Jong now. He's leading the race. He gets to choose when the actual start takes place. So Neil's going to have to be wide awake to see when he starts and to get up to pace almost immediately. Like you say, 4 laps is virtually nothing on this track. Meanwhile, Pascal Dukas, Maxim Ramstein and Roy Visser are the others that are in contention. I'm not sure whether anybody else will have an opportunity. I'd like to see how Dennis Garrison features in this in this restart, but it's going to be frantic as we now see them starting to form up 2 by 2. It's going to be one heck of a start, Ethan.
Richard, I just want to jump in real quick. For those who did not see what happened in that last caution, we had that 14 car of Eric Mulder, who I called down on the apron. It looks like he had a routine pit stop. He was coming down the back straight, just minding his own business, waiting for the pack to go by, when the 29 car all of a sudden snaps out of control and comes down and just blasts him, side swipes and takes him completely out of the race. Unfortunately, the 14 car could have never seen it coming because of how far apart they were side by side, and unfortunately both cars now are in a world apart. Back to you, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that happen. I happened to, when I mentioned that there was a car on the apron, I went to go and have a look to see who that was. I saw it was Eric Mulder, and while I was looking at that, down came the 29 car and just smashed right into him. So no fault of his own. Hopefully they have an IRT team who will have a look at that and perhaps dish out a penalty to that 29 car, because that was really, really bad racing. But the lights are out on the pace car, Ayrton. We're getting ready for that restart. I'm going to let you call it again as usual, and it is going to be frantic.
Yep, 4 laps of racing left for these guys, and anyone in the top 10 has a virtual chance of getting into that first place position. Pace cars into the pit lane. We have Fabian and John lead them away, gets a good start before the green lights come out. Neil Heckens is going to slot into second. Fabian and John's going to look to try to get a good enough lead on these guys and outpace them, but Neil Heckens and Pascal Dugers, Maxim Rexon, we've all seen these guys. They have really good pace and probably can run them down with the draft.
Another big crash. We had the 29 car going past Eric Mulder. He spins off. I don't know if the caution flag came out, but right as they were crossing the start-finish line, there was a tap to the wall, and he went for a ride.
Well, folks, the caution is out, and unfortunately, as we watch the replay of this race, that is it. The race is virtually over because the rest of it will be run under the caution flag. A very underwhelming finish to this race, Ayrton.
Yeah, I was hoping for a really good run to the end, but as we've seen, there's quite a lot of cautions happening in the mid pack in these races. A lot of these guys really love racing hard, and eventually, sometimes that always ends in tears for some drivers.
Well, we are going to call out the 29 car, Steven van Helftingen. I don't know what happened right there. Just looking at the replay, did he get involved with another car, or was it a complete accident there, Brian?
It looks like he spun by himself again. Whatever damage he had from spinning and hitting Mulder the first time, apparently it was not fixed. Luckily enough for Eric Mulder, he almost got hit by the same car that took him out the last time, but just barely got missed by him. So he's going to be able to move on, still with the damaged car that he has, but he's going to try and rack whatever points he can salvage from this race. With so many cars out, it's going to be a good day for him nonetheless. Unfortunately for the 29 car, we don't know exactly what's wrong with this car, but that is 2 times now where he has spun without any aid from anybody else. So you might want to think maybe his toe or something's out of alignment, or maybe his suspension's in bad shape. Either way, his car's not in good shape now, and it's not doing himself any favors to keep going back out there like it is.
Yeah, we're watching him on screen at the moment, and he's still circulating. He's going to finish the race, but even there, as we look at the car, it seems to be quite badly damaged. Very unfortunate finish to the race there, Ayrton, but we do have the top 5 as they were in the restart, managing to finish that restart. Maybe we can check in very quickly with Neil Heckens and see how he's feeling now that he knows he's got that second place locked up. So we'll bring Neil Heckens into the booth again, and let's have a quick chat with him, Ayrton.
Hey Neil, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, looks like the race is going to finish out here. You managed to come out in second place. Very good job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was very lucky that Pascal, I don't know what had happened to his restart, but I thought Fabian and Pascal were going to work together. But luckily I could slip right behind Fabian at the restart.
Yeah, it was a shame that the caution came out so early. You really didn't have a chance to make any move on Fabian Dejean, but looks like second place is really going to help you in the championship. Are you planning on fighting for the championship?
It's going to be very tough after the bad race at Watkins Glen, but yeah, you should never give up, especially at the stock car racing. Anything can happen.
Well, congratulations again.
It certainly does happen in stock car racing. We had, just for your information, the 29 car of Steven Van Helstingen got loose. He had a damaged car, and he caused that last caution, which now finishes the race. So a good second place, a nice finish for you. You're fifth place in the championship. This can help you. Fabian de Jong wins this race without a doubt. And you've got second place Pascal Ducas. Looks like he'll be coming in third. So a great race, an unfortunate finish, but certainly a great race. And we'll wait for the cars to cross the line, and then we'll go to a break, and we'll come back with the full standings and interviews. So we'll just wait to the end of this race, Etten. As they are on the last lap right now, lap number 134. This should be the checkered flag coming out on this race as they all cross over the line right now. Lap number 134 completed. I'm watching the Fabian de Jong going across the line. He wins this race. Neil Heckens now charges ahead. Everybody is free to do what they wish. The race is over. Etten?
Yeah, a very good win from Fabian de Jong is really going to help him in his championship lead, and everyone now really just has to chase him down in these next few races.
Well, everyone will cross the line under caution, and so there's no point in calling. There are no racing conditions at this point in time, so we'll go to our break, and when we come back, we'll have the full standings and some driver interviews for you. Welcome back, folks, to the Fanaleds 200, where we just saw 134 laps of oval racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. A good race with a bit of an unfortunate finish. We finished under caution due to an accident in the last couple of laps. But nonetheless, the race is done, and we will give you the full standings. Etten?
Well, winning the race was Fabian Dejean, our championship leader. He's going to extend his championship lead. Second place is Neil Hickens, and Pascal Dukers in third. Maxim Reinsten in fourth. Roy Visser in fifth. Tim Bayen in sixth. Kieran Regards in seventh. Dennis Garrison in eighth. Kim van der Stickelen in ninth. And Denny Rates in 10th.
And in 11th place, we had Marco Hoekstra. In 12th place, Robert Witt. In 13th place, Nick Thyssen. In 14th, Mark Figueres. In 15th place, Kiers Jokums. In 16th place, Henk Arendse. In 17th place, Rudy de Wit, who has no luck at these oval races. In 18th place, Victor Elsenaar. 19th place was held down by Bas Slob. And 20th place by Johan Sommers. Brian?
21st place, we have Stefan van Helsingen, and 22nd, Freddie Bessems. He had a great race. Unfortunately, some bad luck. Same thing for Joey Schmidt. He came in 23rd. W.J. Vandenbrand came in 24th, followed by 25th, Eric Mulder. 26th was Pascal de Burke. He blew an engine late in the race, followed by the 27th place finisher, Chris Silstra. In 28th, we had Jarno Pinkeet. He led a lot of the laps today, but unfortunately had some bad luck. 29th, we had Guy Schlackmolders. Excuse me, I'm really bad with these names. And 30th, we had W. Rensenbrink. 31st, we had Bob Van Katchwick. 32nd, we had Jos van Horn, who had some bad luck today, followed by 33rd, and Joop Gulston. Followed in 34th, Jeroen Ursum. And 35th, Kevin Vikemans. 36th, Wim Stockmans. And that will be it all for today.
That's right. Well, that's the full standings for you. Congratulations to the podium. We do have our third placed getter in Pascal Dukers in the booth with us, or he's ready for interview, so we'll bring him into the booth. And Brian, you are more than welcome to have a chat with Pascal.
Hey Pascal, Brian Corwin here. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Congratulations coming in third today, Pascal. Are you comfortable at a track like Charlotte, or do you like the longer tracks, or maybe some of the shorter tracks?
I really love this long tracks. It really suits my driving style.
So you like the drafting effect and the bump and run kind of racing. That's a very near and dear place to my heart as well, being an oval driver. One of my favorite tracks indeed, Charlotte. Tell me, what was the battles like on the track? Were you managing traffic well, or did you have a few close calls that you were kind of nervous about?
I had plenty of close calls. At the beginning of the race, I missed my pit stall and had to drive around and had to start from the back, and that was really scary at some times with all the traffic.
Certainly, we saw lots of times in the back of the pack where the ball didn't get going, and a lot of guys had to slam on the brakes to avoid wrecking the car in front of them. Very, very intense stuff indeed. Finally, my last question is, you were racing under the lights tonight. Generally in oval racing, we race during the daytime where the temperature is a little bit warmer. Typically at nighttime, we have a little bit faster times. Tell me, what did you think of Charlotte at nighttime?
Well, I like it really with all the bright colors and that, and the light shining on the cars, the reflections. It's really cool.
Well, thanks for joining me, Pascal. Congratulations again on your third place finish. We hope to see you in the next coming weeks. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will talk once again very quickly to Neil Hickens, because we've spoken to him before, so we'll bring Neil Hickens. Neil, this is the official interview for your second place. Congratulations. Just tell us how happy you are about your second place.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy with my second place, especially after the bad races at Daytona and Watkins Glen. I'm back to be at the front again. Yeah, me and my team, we did a lot of testing, preparing for this race, and we're happy that it all paid out for me. At least for me, I think the others too.
Excellent stuff. Well, congratulations, Neil. We're keeping it short because we have spoken to you a fair bit during the course of this race. Well, now we have our winner, who we understand is a first-time winner in this championship, Fabian de Jong. And Ayrton Ellis is going to talk to Fabian. Go ahead, Ayrton.
Thanks, Richard. Fabian, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Congratulations, you got your first win in the series after having really good results in the previous races. We thought that you had already won a race, but after looking at the results, this is your first win.
Yes, finally. It was time to get a first win.
Yeah, so you, after Rudy de Wit lost his lead, yeah, we noticed that you were, you managed to stay in the front for quite a bit in those last few laps. How nervous were you about the guys behind you?
Well, after the second last caution, I had a nice gap to Neil, about a second, and yeah, I saw him getting closer a little, but the gap remained stable. But yeah, the last caution was too bad, but lucky for me, I had Pascal right behind me, so maybe he could ignore Neil a little bit on the track, because Paul's together with Joey and Rudy and teammates. So well, all in all, it's finished first. That's what counts.
And we noticed at the beginning of the race you seemed very conservative, just sitting behind Rudy de Wit. What was your plans in the first half of the race?
Well, I practiced a lot with Rudy, so I know his lines and he knows my lines. So I just, yeah, why should I attack in the first 100 laps? Don't see the necessary of that. So I just stay behind him, and only at the pit stops when the other guys who didn't pit, I overtook them. But I every time I stay behind Rudy. So not too bad about him, his result.
Well, congratulations again on a really well driven win. How do you think your chances are for the championship now?
Well, I extended my points lead, so it's getting better every time, and I didn't use my drop result yet.
Yeah, well, that's always a good sign. Well, thanks for talking to us, Fabian, and really good result. Congratulations once again. And back to you, Richard.
Thank you, Ayrton. Thank you, and congratulations to Fabian. A great first win. It was about time that he had a win as well, because he's been knocking on the door for quite a while. Well, what we want to do now is bring in Jeroen Ursem, who is one of the organizers of this series, and just have a little bit of a chat to him about the series. Jeroen, you there?
Oh, hello.
Jeroen, a great series you guys have got going here. Fabian de Jong just winning his first race in the series. Bit of an unfortunate finish for this one, but how are you seeing the series playing out? It's a great series, and it just seems to be, you know, going from strength to strength.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate to finish on your yellow every time when you're doing an oval. But yeah, all in all, it is going very well.
All right, so as we move now into the second half of the series, you know, it's coming down to the wire now. So these guys are racing hard and to keep their places. So how are you seeing the next few races playing out? You happy that everything is going to plan, or you want to do something different?
Now we're looking ahead for after the season, but this season is not far from over. But yeah, I think everything is going a little bit like we planned. Only the cautions are a little bit too much at the moment, but yeah, it's getting better and better every race. So
yeah, well, that's oval racing, Jeroen. I have not yet seen an oval race that went green all the way. I haven't been in an oval race that went green all the way ever that I can remember. So it is normal, and it seems to be going well. We are very proud to be a part of the series, broadcasting your races. There's some really great drivers here, and we congratulate you on organizing a great series.
yeah, we're not doing it alone, of course. We've got Dennis Joop Roy and Neil also in the team. They're doing a great job together. So that's.
Okay, sir. Well, thank you very much. We are now going to close this broadcast after 134 laps.
Just one
the
question.
Fanaleds. Sorry, Jeroen.
You also made Fabian a happy guy, or? Because I was
Yes.
just pulled. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, sir. All right. Well, 134 laps of Charlotte
Richard.
Motor Speedway behind us now.
Sorry, Richard.
And we wish to thank a bunch of people and organizations for bringing the race to us.
Richard.
Yes, go ahead, Jeroen.
You forgot to give something to Fabian. Fabian won the race, and we've talked about it. There was something special going on after that.
I think you have lost me there. Have I missed out on something?
I think so. So I'd better get in Fabian in this channel now.
Okay, well, let's bring Fabian in. There must be a prize. That's what
that's
it is.
correct.
All
Fabian.
right, Jeroen, you go right ahead and announce that prize with Fabian.
Hello, Fabian. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
And it's the best race to win in the season because we had a special prize for the winner.
Okay.
You just won yourself a Fanaleds Sleep Pro.
Okay, cool.
So I hope you're happy with that prize.
Always.
Yeah, it was actually Richard should have given it to you, but I think he missed a memo.
Okay. Well, always nice to win something.
Yeah, of course. You can get even better at racing. But we
Okay.
not very needed at the moment, I think, because you're doing very well in the season. But
Yeah, but more gimmicks are always welcome.
brilliant. Back to you, Richard. Great stuff.
Okay, well, look, guys, I must apologize. And yes, I did not get the memo, unfortunately, Jeroen. So I'm going to blame you for that, or whoever was supposed to send out the memo. But we did issue the prize, a Fanaleds 200 little button box, I believe, or it's a light box that shows you some action as you're driving. Should be a great prize. Fabian sounded a little bit surprised, but no doubt he'll be happy with that prize. And thank you to the organizers for putting that prize together for this particular race. Now, Jeroen, with your permission, I will close this broadcast.
Yeah, I think that were all the prizes for today.
Okay. Now, we want to thank everybody, all of the organizers, which includes yourself, Roy Visser, Joep Willemsen, Dennis Garrison, and Neil Heckens. And we also want to thank iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and Ava Media for providing us with software and hardware that we use regularly for all these broadcasts. Thank you also to the broadcast team, Giancarlo as our director, Ayrton as one of our callers, and also Brian, who stood in for Sean Ambrose tonight. Thank you, Brian. If you would like to find out more about us, GSRC, our website is globalsimracingchannel.com. You will find our broadcast schedule there, along with archived races and race highlights of all the series that we broadcast. We are also on Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel, and we're on Twitter at GSR Channel. Now, a special thank you goes to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with great music for these broadcasts. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but also on TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and as well as Spotify. If you like the music, please tell Eric where you've heard it at Eric Ekholm. Thanks also to Casey Lalonde, who provides us with music for highlight videos when we do highlights. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. The next race in this series will be and I have not got the information on this next race. Jeroen, I'll bring you in once. Now, sorry, the upcoming broadcasts that we have are on the 12th of April. We have the Enduro Pro Series for their race number 6 at Sebring International. On the 13th of April, this is all in a couple of weeks' time, or next week, we have the Roof Euro Trophy race, race 6 at Spa. And the next race in this series will be on the 20th of April. And I'm not quite sure where it is. I do apologize for not getting all my information, but it will be, we understand, at Richmond. So apologies for leaving you a little bit in the dark there. The 20th of April at Richmond. Now, folks, we wish you all the best, and until we speak to you again from the broadcast booth, race hard, race safely, and we'll see you on track.